The Free Agents podcast contains mature themes and adult language. Any discussion of gambling is for entertainment purposes only. Please abide by all laws in your location regarding gambling.
This should be our intro. Can we start?
This week on The Free Agents.
It's not even rumblings, it's just blatant talk that RG3 and Mike Shanahan do not see eye to eye. So if you're one of these guys that's in television, the Cowers and the Grudens and them, you're keeping your eye on that Redskin team.
NHL, they watch all the games from Ontario, and they have almost nearly instant rulings all the time. They have a team of officials in Ontario at NHL headquarters. They watch all the games as they're going on, and they phone down all the time with the rulings. There's no reason why they can't do that in the NFL.
That's what pisses me off the most about this stuff. Why can't they get this right?
Welcome to the Free Agent Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Smarge. Joining me this week, our friend, Frenchy the Greek. Frenchy, how you doing this week in the studio?
I'm great. It's a little hot out there, but...
Yeah, the hottest day of the fall, the early fall.
All of a sudden it's 95 degrees.
Well, joining us via Skype this week, as always, LJ. John Boudreau, how are you doing today?
I am here, and I'm enjoyed my first weekend of football.
Oh, it was an amazing weekend of football. We saw some amazing stuff. What was your biggest moment of the weekend for you, LJ?
Well, everybody got excited about Chip Kelly and his offense, but I was more excited about Jay Cutler standing upright and throwing the ball. And that was against Cincinnati's vaunted defense. The Bears didn't give up a sack. What did Trestman do? What was the recipe there? Whatever they did against one of the best defenses in the league, they didn't give up any sacks.
Maybe this is the year.
I thought was the most interesting thing.
Maybe the offensive line is real this year. Maybe they can do it.
Well, they did bring in new guys and a new zone blocking scheme, so whatever they did, they did it right. The Eagles' offensive line was very impressive too. I think LaShawn McCoy is looking at 2,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, they were outstanding. Their offense was just incredible to watch.
What a great game to watch. That game, all in all, was a lot of fun to watch. They ran 52 plays in the first half.
Yeah, and then they slowed it down. It isn't like they kept the pedal on the. To be honest with you, they probably should have kept the pedal down all the way through the third quarter, and then they could have taken their foot off the gas. But that offense is just, 31 carries for McCoy. It's in those mismatches, lining up offensive linemen as wideouts and it's just crazy the stuff that he was doing, trying to create mismatches.
That one set where Vic's in shotgun, there's three offensive linemen, and then, like you said, the two wide with two wide receivers each on each side wide, and then McCoy's right next to him in the shotgun package. What the hell pistol, formation was? It wasn't pistol. What was that formation?
It's a variation of the pistol. Yeah.
Well, pistol's it's quarterback.
Yeah, but
running back. This was just a shotgun.
It's just a straight single
with only
back
three
set.
Linemen and then six wide receivers.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? I can't wait to see that thing again.
It's all about creating mismatches. Yeah. That's his goal, is the whole mismatch thing.
And it was a running. That one was a run play.
Yeah, well, they created a very balanced offense. If you look at the play calling and the plays that were called and stuff, they actually ended up with a pretty as balanced a game as you're going to see in modern NFL in a passing league.
And the other thing everybody noticed too was Deshaun Jackson and everybody, they were excited by the offense. They were getting up and running back to the line of scrimmage. They were into it. They looked like they had picked up on what Chip Kelly wants them to do and are excited about doing it. And if Vic stays healthy, this is a lethal offense.
It is.
No one really, I don't want to say no one, but not a lot of people picked them to win this game. There's still the RG3 hype carrying over from last year. I found that amazing. And then now all of a sudden their over-under for next week is posted at 55 points. And this one was at 52. But the odds makers knew that Chip Kelly likes to run a lot of plays, which leads to more points. But the fact that they're getting respect from the odds makers already, going into the year, they weren't getting much. Their season win total, I think, was about 7.5 or 8, and they were underdogs in this game. They're going to be favored in games in the future if they keep playing the way they are.
Well, I think we all thought the Skins would be a craftier opponent too. They're looking like as bad as they did last year. I don't see any improvement. I mean, it's only week 1. We haven't seen any real improvement in that defense.
You can't make a judgment off of that yet, especially against this Chip Kelly offense. I'm going to reserve judgment on the Redskins for a couple of weeks. I mean, they have Green Bay coming to town this week. So that's going to be
chunky
yards. Yeah, but LJ, how could you expect that this new offense for Philadelphia was just going to roll out and just fire on all cylinders like it did? I mean, come on. I mean, we all thought, hey, it might be a little rough the first half. So it's going to take a little bit of time and some real games to get going. It's kind of new.
After the bad year they had last year.
Just come out and just blast them. I mean, I don't think anyone could have expected that.
Well, a lot of people question the transition of a college coach to an NFL system, and I don't want to say obviously that doesn't matter, but in this case yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, it did matter because he ran his shit ton of plays and it worked for the Eagles. Now the Skins are, like LJ said, the Skins, I don't think you should hold them liable for just this one game, but they are prone to giving up chunks of yards, and they did that last year quite a bit, and they're probably going to this year. But like you said, Smarge, let's wait it out a little bit. I mean, RG3, he still put up some numbers. They still didn't do terrible. They made a comeback, but that first half was dismal. That was just awful. It almost looked like they weren't going to score at one point.
They didn't look ready to play. I mean,
they got the defensive touchdown, and then it was a while before they scored, right? It was the third quarter. Yeah, it was the third quarter. Later in the third quarter until they scored again and then made it a game in the fourth.
Yeah.
Now, if you're one of these coaches that's sitting on the sidelines, that's working in TV right now, you got to keep your eye on the Redskins this year, because if they do have some issues, and there's been rumblings all around D.C., I mean, it's not even rumblings, it's just blatant talk, that RG3 and Mike Shanahan do not see eye to eye. So if you're one of these guys that's in television, the Cowers and the Grudens and them, you're keeping your eye on that Redskin team, because that is almost an ideal situation for a big-time coach to come into. Maybe the next guy in college that has the big – everybody should be keeping an eye on that Redskin thing. I know I just said don't get overhyped, but I would still keep an eye on it just because of what's going on. I mean, that's like an ideal situation for a coach, especially a coach that's got some interesting offensive innovations. I mean, there's those guys still down in college, and then there's some coordinators that definitely are going to get looked at and brought in. Schneider's going to pay. Schneider will pay top dollar for a good coach.
Well, that's what they're going to need, LJ, to be competitive, I think. I mean, clearly we've seen with the Eagles this new, the new dawning of the new offense in the NFL. And Shanahan can't. I don't think he can coach that kind of team and that kind of offense. I just don't think I don't think he's capable of it. He's just too old school. So that's exactly what they need to do. And you're right, LJ. If they turn the coaching situation over somewhat quickly, you can see an improved team quite rapidly. So we'll see what happens there.
And Alfred Morris, and people who have Alfred Morris on their fantasy team, Ray Helu got more carries than Alfred Morris did in that Redskin offense.
Well,
that's not a fun thing to think about.
Well, that's not going to do it.
No, I told everybody to stay away from those guys because of this situation.
Are we going to jump on the lines? Get right into it? New England and the Jets?
Yeah, that's tomorrow, huh? Oh, that's great. It's a beautiful thing.
That's...
I know we talked about last week how Smarge doesn't like the Thursday. Well, no, you guys actually had a prior conversation about this. But see, aren't you happy there's a game tomorrow? Doesn't it make you feel good, though?
I'm happy that they're playing the Jets tomorrow, because if they were playing any sort of
it's an excitement to have a game, but if you're New England and the Jets, you're like, well, this sucks. We got to play again right now.
Yeah, they played Thanksgiving last year. That was when they smoked them. They smoked them. I got them as my survivor pick this week, the Patriots. I hate to burn them early, but It's the only thing I really feel that comfortable with. The line is 12 points on this game, down from 13. Does anyone want to bet?
It's now down to
Patriots?
11.5, I think, too. I mean, at least that's what I'm looking at.
You're right. I do see an 11.5. That's some interesting movement. 2.5 points for the Jets.
There's too much money coming in on New England. The early money came in on New England, and they're trying to entice people to put some money on the Jets. And if am I right, or did it go the other way? Too much money on the Jets when the line was big.
There was early money on the Pats, and then it went up to 13, and then it came back down 2.5 points. So someone must have bet the Jets somewhere.
There's also, it's looking more like Danny Amendola will probably not play this week, so that does affect things. We're looking at this week is on Thursday. So, we're looking at a Patriots team that played their opener, didn't look too sharp in many phases of the game, and got banged up, and now are going into the short week with Julian Edelman as one of their top targets. So that's what you got with the Patriots right now. Apparently they were inquiring about Brandon Lloyd.
I understand why people are betting on the Jets, and if I was going to put money on it, I'd put money on the Jets too this week. I think that's a pretty decent bet. The game's just going to be close, I think.
You got to go with the value. I can understand that.
Philadelphia and San Diego. It's in Philly. We're just talking about that vaunted offense against San Diego what the heck happened in that game? Did you catch that game?
I did. I watched the whole thing of that too. They looked good in the first half. I was surprised. I think they surprised a lot of people, but then somewhere on I think it was a 2nd and 10 when Phillip Rivers tried to play action and then just fired this thing basically for a big home run play to try to extend their lead. And then that failed. And then they ended up 3-and-outing and having to punt. And then from there, they just weren't able to do anything. And then they got outscored. But they didn't look that bad. On first glance, I would be interested in taking San Diego on this line. But with the way that Chip Kelly's offense is moving right now, I don't want to touch anything. I know a lot of.
I think. To be honest with you, I think San Diego is just going to get destroyed in this game. They couldn't cover Andre Johnson and Owen Daniels, so just imagine what Deshaun Jackson and Selleck and McCoy and this is an offense that's higher octane than the Texans' offense. I think Philly's a safe bet this week, and if I was going to put money there,
think about that for Survivor. We have the West Coast going to the East Coast at 1 o'clock trend in this game too, so that's something else to consider. I think there'll be a lot of money line bets on the Eagles this week, based on what people saw on Monday night.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't have to mess with the line, and you're probably going to suffer a bit with the odds, but
yeah, I think you got to lay
have to deal with that line nonsense. And Philly just seems like a very good bet to just win outright.
The line was a little more straight, something like 7. Something to entice you as the favorite better there. That would be a lot more interesting to be on the Philadelphia side. But I can concur with that. Chip Kelly will probably roll. And
fantasy owners, Ryan Matthews might actually have a decent season if he can again stay healthy, because he looked like he's ready to play this year, like he had something to prove.
Yeah, that's probably the only bright spot for the Chargers this year. It's pretty abysmal out there. I'm so glad I don't live in San Diego.
Well, actually, San Diego has perfect weather, so they should be punished with bad sports teams. Next game up, Baltimore at home against the Cleveland Browns, and Baltimore's given up 6.5. Cleveland is good defensively and bad offensively. That's what we observed, and that's what I think. I think they got a good defense, and it's a division game. It's Baltimore coming home. I think Baltimore's gonna have a good game, though. I think we're gonna see a reverse from last week. Those guys have too much pride. I would, if I'm picking this game, it's Baltimore I'm taking.
If Cleveland just had some other receiver besides Jordan Cameron there, someone they could trust, it would be a lot different with this team.
Yes, Josh Gordon, when he comes back, the offense is going to be much better.
It's just saying, I'm not completely ruling him out. They're not afraid to let Whedon throw. They let him throw 53 times. He still only mustered 289 yards. But Trent Richardson didn't have a good game against Miami. That's not going to happen every week. They relied on Jordan Cameron. He was the most targeted receiver, which in fantasy was huge for guys like me who drafted him super late. But you're right. Like they can hold their own defensively if they could just figure out something with the offense, because they're not just going to throw it 24 times and settle for that and run the hell out of it to Trent Richardson. Like they want to throw. They want to throw downfield with Whedon. So I feel like I'm not saying they're like that far off from being a good team or better team, but if they could just get a few things right, they might not be terrible. Yeah. It's just you see 2-0-1 team.
They're a tanked season away from getting a good quarterback, though. I mean, the Whedon experiment is something from the old regime, and the new guys, Mike Lombardi and the rest of the crew that came to Cleveland during the offseason, the new GM and president and coach. Whedon, I think they're playing out the string with Whedon, and I really think that next year Cleveland is really going to be more. I mean, once they get that, I think they're tanking for Bridgewater or tanking for one of these top quarterbacks, and I think they're going to build around the new top quarterback, Richardson. They got a bunch of young good players, Thomas, and they just are the Whedon mistake needs to be he needs to be released, and they need to move on. And that's when this team will really start to show. I mean, with Gordon, they've got good pieces except a quarterback, really.
It's funny, I can't believe they drafted Whedon. He's 27 years old, right? Or 28?
Yeah. It's just it was a bad move on their part.
Yeah, it was not a good move. Now, if you're Baltimore, are you looking for a receiver on the market? Because Jacoby Jones certainly, the loss of Jacoby Jones is going to hurt your team here, and you're also at the benefit, like the Patriots, of a kind of soft schedule here where you get to play the Browns. So but are they going to go look for somebody, or should I have picked up their backups?
To be honest, who's on the market? I mean, are they going to go after Brandon Lloyd? He's another field stretcher. They need a possession guy.
Yeah,
they need Anquan Bolden back.
Yeah, they do.
That's what they need.
Brotherly, they stuck him out of town in the middle of the night, LJ, to get him out of there. So,
for a 6th round
pick, song, dude, I can't. I feel like we missed on this. We should have been screaming and yelling as soon as that deal happened, because now that we really think about it and we see what's going on, it's like, wow, how obvious is that? Like, just shenanigans. I call it shenanigans on that whole thing.
Wow, I can't wait to when we get to discussing San Francisco and Bolden's 200 yards and Kaepernick and good Lord. I just think Baltimore's got too much pride. I think they win and they actually cover. And I think this is going to be a 14-point win by Baltimore.
How about Carolina Buffalo? Another 2-0-1 teams going at it.
I'm all in on Carolina this week, because I think they were playing against that Seattle defense that is just, I think, it's probably the best defense in the league. Really good front seven, really good secondary. And they had the whole preseason to prepare to shut down Carolina. I just think it wasn't fair. And I don't think Buffalo's going to be able to bottle up that Carolina offense this week like Seattle did. And it's Carolina at home, so I like Carolina. And I think Carolina's defense is better than New England's. I think they're going to get to E.J. Manuel more than the Pats did.
Well, that'd be some road chalk he'd be dealing with there. With the
Carolina's on the road there, LJ. They're in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that all the way. It's still the rookie quarterback. I'm still not, even though rookie quarterbacks, both of them covered the spread. Well, Tal Pryor doesn't count, right? But he still covered the spread. But
yeah,
they covered the spread. The EJ and Geno, something to maybe consider. But Buffalo was a big spread, and people kind of overestimated the Buccaneers in that case, and I like your thinking of Carolina played the toughest defense arguably in the league, so they should come out firing here, ready to go, ready to show people what they're worth.
I think it's going to be a different game. You're going to be like, oh, this is Carolina. Now I remember. Now I remember Cam Newton throwing the ball 60 yards to Steve Smith. Yes. So that's what he did.
This next one looks to be probably like it would be the Fox game of the week at 1 o'clock, if there is a Fox game at 1 o'clock. Well, the Redskins in Green Bay, the hype machine, RG3, versus Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay, who are also their own hype machine. So that game should get a good rating. Green Bay's laying 7.5 right out the gate. I think they opened at 7. And then it's gone up to, looks like 9, 8.5 at some shops, but looks like 7.5 is a more round number. Does anyone see any value on the Redskins here?
The Redskins are still too much of an unknown quantity. We still haven't seen enough cards. We need the turn in the river in order to make a decision on.
I do agree. I have to think that they'll play better this week, even though they don't have a home field advantage. But it is what it is. I can't get money in on that spread.
It's a tough line. You want to take a touchdown or 6, but like I said, I'm trying to go for value this year. I used to just like to bet good teams a couple of years ago, but now, I had a good week this week with picks like Tennessee and Oakland and Buffalo, and they was just getting so many points. But this is an instance. This is the Redskins getting points to a good team.
To a really good team that played a really, really good game against arguably the best team in the NFL, the Niners.
And they nearly edged that thing out. If it weren't for that frickin' mess up by the refs, I still can't believe this crap.
That's just garbage.
Like, I thought we got rid of this shit a year ago.
Green Bay is going to have to deal with a bad call. That's costing the Seattle game last year, just messed them up, and now the bad call in the Niners game messed them up.
How do they just forget? How does someone in the stadium not notice and stop this?
Yeah, or the coaches don't realize, like no one's out there screaming and yelling at them,
like right away. That's what I don't get over. And then the same thing happened in the San Diego-Houston game when it was 28-14. Houston had lined up to kick a field goal, and then the refs called a penalty against the Chargers when the guy just rushed over the center, the snapper. And there's a rule where you can't like vault yourself over.
Right, you can't hurdle players or some ridiculous obscure rule or something
like that. You're allowed to run by.
That was a roughing the snapper penalty. Yeah. Like the long snapper is vulnerable in that spot, and if you actually go at him in a certain way, you can mess him up. And the NFL did just pay out $700 and something million, and now they're worrying more about the health of players.
Well, but he didn't even touch him, and they came up with a story today. The refs said the same thing in the San Francisco game. We made a mistake. I think we realized we made a mistake, and we're sorry. But why was I was watching it on TV and Monday Night Football, and fucking Chris Boomer he was calling that game, and like they had a guy right in the next room ready to go to explain this because they knew people were going to be all fired up like me watching this stuff, and because it looks like the game is fixed when they do stuff like this. I hate to throw that word out there, but it doesn't look good. This is an awful thing, and that was a huge difference because then Houston goes on to score a touchdown and change the whole dynamic of the game. And that's what pisses me off the most about this stuff. Why can't they get this right? And if this is supposedly a new rule that's less than a couple years old, so be it. But these refs need to know this shit. This isn't just like, oh, let's just see what happens. I'm just going to throw this flag, not worry about any possible outcome. It's like there is a possible outcome. You're fucking with the game, Yeah,
well, it was only a year ago that we were clamoring to get rid of the replacement refs because it was so bad. And then they made some bad, the regular refs made some bad calls last year, and here we go again, the same stuff going on this year,
But remember how upset people were last year? I'm sorry for swearing, but remember how upset people were last year when this stuff was going on, and it took till what was it, week 3? It was after that debacle.
Yeah,
on Sunday night with Green Bay and the Seahawks, and then
the
right away
and all the other nonsense.
I can't believe more people aren't outraged right now about this, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, he didn't even touch he brushed by the long snapper, which you're allowed to do.
Yeah,
he didn't go over him. He didn't intentionally smack him.
He didn't. Yeah,
he just went by
right
him. And then what? He didn't even get close to the ball.
Yeah,
he tied up the ball and misses it. And then it's like, he didn't even have a clear, discernible advantage in that play. And it's something that happened in every other game this week. That same exact thing happened where a field goal was kicked. In every other game this week, that same penalty could have been called.
Well, what I don't understand is you've got your review guys upstairs. You've got league official guys watching this stuff. They don't have a phone. They can't get on the mic to the guy. They can't do that. Like,
the delays in the game to keep happening
when there's a gross error in the rules,
to penalties. That's the thing.
When there's a gross overreaching error in the rules, LJ, yes, I want that.
Well, then the whole thing's going to change. It's going to start at 1. The games are going to end at 5, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then the other games are going to run into prime time and.
No, it's garbage, LJ. That's garbage. In the NHL,
that won't end until after midnight.
In the NHL, they watch all the games from Ontario, and they have almost nearly instant rulings all the time. They have a team of officials in Ontario at NHL headquarters. They watch all the games as they're going on, and they phone down all the time with the rulings. There's no reason why they can't do that in the NFL.
Well, I mean, the thing you make that argument about the games taking longer. In the MLB, that's going to make a difference because they're having problem with fan interest. They're losing fans. It's been happening for the last almost 10 years in the sport. But the NFL, it's the complete opposite. They're getting more fans every freaking year that goes by, so it's not going to matter. I was talking about this a month ago.
They're getting less fans to come to the stadiums, though, because they don't want to deal with TV timeouts and all the other nonsense.
But they make more money on the $6 billion package they sell to CBS.
To keep coming to your stadiums, then you're going to have to. Then you're going to have to make it more. They're going to have less waiting around for the TV stuff.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. They don't care. The league doesn't care about the people going to the game. They care about the $6 billion TV package of CBS, and then that doesn't even include the money they get from the advertising and sales from tickets and then merchandise and stuff like that. So they're getting way more money from the TV product anyways. So they know that means that they know people are going to watch. So in this instance, if you make a game 30 minutes longer, I don't think it's going to change much at all. I mean, if there's a blowout towards the end of it, then people are probably going to walk away. But in that instance, no. People are addicted to football. I don't think it would make that much of a difference. But it doesn't matter. I just want to see it right. And this is ridiculous that this keeps happening. And then you have phantom pass interference plays and freaking phantom holding plays that happen. And it's just ridiculous. Like these guys can just call anything they want.
Actually having a central office, kind of like a CENTCOM there, and have officials there to overrule the other officials instantly. I actually like that. And if they really made the mistake and it's actually very obvious and the call can come down quickly, I say go for it.
Well, and they can review the challenges instead of sending having the ref go over to the replay booth and all that garbage. They don't have to take a timeout for it.
Like French said, get it right. I agree 100%. Get it right. And if you have to put some money into doing it, do it, because you want the integrity, of the sport to stand. I mean, there's a lot of money riding on the line week in and week out. And if the integrity gets called into question, then, referees and everything else, and I don't know, do it right.
You're right.
That's all.
You're right. And we've been ranting for a while. So moving on. Minnesota, Chicago, divisional battle. Chicago's laying 6.
Minnesota. I don't like Minnesota at all this year. I think they're going to win like 4 or 5 games if they're lucky.
Yeah, I'm not that high on them either.
And Chicago, I mean, this line seems about right.
It is.
The division game, I think it seems about right. I think there's some value in Chicago. I think I don't want to get too crazy about the first week of the season, but I do see some value in Chicago. They have that ball hawking offense. And we learned that you need to just stuff the box against Minnesota. You're still going to give up a big run, but Detroit held Minnesota to under 100 yards rushing by stacking the box. They stacked the box 28% of the time, And normally, defenses stack the box 4% of the time. So that's a huge difference. So just stack the box against Minnesota and say Christian Ponder beat me.
Sounds pretty easy. I like what you're thinking there too. How about this? Tease Chicago down to they just have to win the game, but they don't have to find something else to tease it with. But that'll be something to think about in a day or so.
I was just listening to Scoochie, the guy the odds maker there for the bookmaker
Bob
there in Vegas with Chad Coleman.
Yeah.
And he said that teasers are the big thing. The new big thing right now. And Vegas is now adjusting for teasers when the lines move. Because teasers are so popular right now.
Yeah, that could make sense.
And this is a definite teaser game right here. I'd like that as a teaser game. Actually, at the end of this, let's pick a 3-team tease.
A 3-team teaser. How about
I like this one as the first one in our 3-team teaser.
Well, I mean, in 3-team you get 10 points. So if you're taking Chicago with a 10 point, you're going to go down to 6 and then to +3. So there's no value with taking a +3 because you went +3.5 because a push is a loss in a tease, and you even want to look at 4.5 there. So that's the thing I always have to consider with teasers. I have to make sure I'm getting the right numbers.
A 2-team tease would be better value in Chicago.
Exactly, 2-team would be better right now. So another one I've been looking at already, St. Louis, Atlanta. I kind of like St. Louis a little bit. This is one of the first games that kind of caught my eye. They're both 0-1 teams. Atlanta doesn't match up completely well with this team because St. Louis led the league in sacks last year. They can get to the quarterback. Atlanta can't. I'm not saying that Bradford will throw all over them, but I just the fact that St. Louis can get to Matt Ryan, and with the injury to Roddy White, is he playing?
He's questionable.
I think he's decoying again this week, like he was last week.
You want to get a little conspiracy going. Roddy White had a high ankle sprain. It's a 4 to 6 week injury. They didn't list it as a high ankle sprain the whole week, and then they had him basically injected with painkillers and forced him out on the field as a decoy until he couldn't do it anymore, and then they sat him down. So the Roddy White situation, you can focus on Julio Jones, which opens up Tony Gonzalez, Steven Jackson. Is St. Louis got a good enough defense to slow Matt Ryan down still?
I think so. I think they have a great underrated defense. I'm interested in this spread. I mean, it's in Atlanta. Things can get crazy. I know they're mad. They lost their opener. And the St. Louis Rams, they played well. They played well last week. I just see 7. I like the Lambs a little bit so far.
Yeah, that would be a stay away game for me. I don't know enough about these two teams yet to make a solid judgment. That one I don't like. But I'm St. Louis. I could see why you would like St. Louis, but if I would gun to my head, I would put them in a tease and get St. Louis.
Yeah, there we go.
7 points, and then I would be definitely more comfortable with it.
Excuse me, I said they were both 0-1. The Rams, they did win. They did beat the Cardinals last week. The Cardinals, but
yeah. And the Cardinals looked actually halfway decent, but we'll get to them when we get to their line. So what game you want to go to next, French?
Dallas, Kansas City. Yeah. Interesting line. Kansas City is favored. The Cowboys are an underdog for once. You think people are going to flock to the books and bet Dallas? Oh, it's a loud stadium in Kansas City. There's one thing. There's the hype machine of Kansas City. There's another thing. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
Dallas is not a good team.
I actually like Kansas City here. Andy Reid's very familiar with Dallas. Kansas City looked good. Jamal Charles, they say he's going to play this week. And I think Kansas City, if I'm doing this game, I'll take Kansas City. This is basically a pick'em, and I'll take Kansas City at home over Dallas. I didn't think Dallas looked all that good, and I think Kansas City has some talent on both sides of the ball.
I guess I'm a little surprised that it's -3. If it's a true evenly matched game, it would be a pick'em.
It's not an even.
But they're giving I guess it is true. It looks like
they're
giving 3 to Kansas City for the home field advantage. Yeah, that's right.
And it's not an evenly matched game at all. I think Dallas is a bit banged up here, and they're a bit shaken from their opening game, from week one. And I don't see them going on the road into Kansas City. It's a tough place to play.
They put up 36 points in their first game. I don't think that's that bad.
I don't think they can get it done. I don't see them putting up 36 points in Kansas City.
They put up 36 points. What they get? 6 turnovers.
They had the turnovers.
The Giants turned the ball over how many times? And the Giants were just a disaster. And Alex Smith and the rest of the Chiefs looked competent, and they looked like they were ready to play this year. And I think this is a win by Kansas City. I would take Kansas City this week. I actually like. I feel good about Kansas City right now. If I was betting,
yeah, Tony Romo got his ribs mauled in that game, and he's not going to be 100% in Kansas City this week. There's no way.
And they're going to get pressure on him like crazy. Kansas City had a bunch of sacks last week. I forgot the linebacker, the kid's name, but he was phenomenal last week. And I'm feeling really good about Kansas City right now. And if I'm Tony Romo, I'm scared. I'm scared of my ribs. I'm scared of getting hit. And Des Bryant is not healthy, so that makes this team worse. Next game. Where are we going next, French?
Let's go to Tennessee, Houston. 9.5.
My Steelers looked so bad last week. Their offensive line is a disaster with Pouncey out, and that made Tennessee look better than I think they are, but I think Vegas adjusted with the 9 points that I'm seeing here.
Yes, they did. I don't think anyone was buying it for Tennessee last year, after last week.
And they're basically riding Houston with that momentum wave coming off that big second half against San Diego. This is a division rivalry game. It's their home opener for Houston. How do you feel?
I'm saying, I'm not picking a side. This is probably a no play when it comes down to the end. I don't like the 9 with Houston. I don't really like the 9 with Tennessee either.
Now, what about Houston in a tease with 7 points, bringing it down to just giving up 2?
That's a good number. That's a good number. I've been into the 6-point teasers myself. We're thinking more about them just because of the VIG is the same as making a straight bet. You just have your 110 VIG when you do a 6-pointer. So when you have to go to 7, that bumps it up to 130 VIG at that point. So that can make a difference. I mean, and that's, again, it's about finding the line that works.
Exactly. Value. Good call, French. I like that, actually.
Exactly.
So that would work with Chicago and Houston, actually. That would work well with Chicago and Houston.
It would.
2 home teams that you're teasing the lines down. You're teasing Chicago to a pick 'em, and you're teasing Houston down a given 3. I think that's a solid bet.
I do like it.
Where are we going next? Did we cover all the 1 o'clock games?
Looks like it. Yeah,
we got Miami, Indy left, and then Jacksonville, Oakland, the worst game of the year. That's at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, Miami and Indianapolis. Miami's defense looked good.
They did.
Cameron Wake.
Beast.
But I heard he was abusing a weak lineman, though, so I don't know if Indian...
I thought you were going to say an amphetamine.
He was abusing meth and really good doing it. But Indianapolis, what do you make of them? They were playing Oakland. They nearly lost to Oakland.
That's why I like the Oakland. I'm not sold on them. There's a little bit too much hype. They had a negative point differential last year. They're the last team to make the playoffs with a negative point differential in a long time. They have Andrew Luck, Reggie Wayne. I'm still not sold or going to be close to being sold on their running game for a while. I'm still not sold on their defense. They brought in 9 new guys on that side of the ball, and I'm not ready to start betting and thinking Indianapolis is going to be a great team week in and week out. Now this line is -3, so that means they think that these teams are evenly matched. I'm a little surprised.
I would agree. This is one of those vague. They don't know yet enough. I think this is just a standard home team favored. We don't know enough about either team yet. This is going to be another one of those games where we learn a lot about Miami and Indianapolis, I think.
Definitely, I have to say a stay away. I wouldn't be surprised if the public consensus started betting this team on the Indy side and the line swam up a half point or so closer to kickoff. I would not be surprised with that at all. But
Indy money's always big. They always have this big.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like they're turning into a public team again. They were, obviously, with Peyton, they were a great public team, and they fizzled away there 2 years ago and last year, but they're gaining their respect back from the bettors, even though they're 0-1 against the spread to start the year. But I would not be surprised at all.
Good call. You're right. I think the public likes Andrew Luck, which makes Indianapolis a public team. And I think that's a very good call on your part, which I think is going to be worth a point this week. I think the line could move to 4 by game time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, Miami becomes a teaser play.
Yeah.
So where do we go? 4 o'clock. You want to start with New Orleans, Tampa Bay?
Sure.
Well, who do you like? Tampa Bay was a disaster last week against the Jets. Was that just? And Josh Freeman got his captain thing stripped from him, and
really,
and it's Schiano is a Rutgers coach, and I have a theory now that Rutgers coaches that were hired by that athletic director, he hired Schiano and that basketball coach. I think he just liked abusive coaches, and I'm hearing Schiano's an abusive bastard and doesn't know how to coach up Josh Freeman to try and make him better. He's just abusing him to the point where Josh Freeman's just going to be a shell of what he used to be and miserable. I like New Orleans this week. I think that Tampa Bay's in for a disaster of a season, and I would bet against them every week, especially when the line's this close.
Yeah, I think that's some good value. I mean, I feel like New Orleans are still an offensive powerhouse, and I feel like certainly look like it.
I'm looking at the history of this game in Tampa Bay, and every time this game comes up, everyone slams the Saints when they're playing in Tampa Bay. I remember reading something a year ago when this game came up because people said, "Oh well, Breeze is playing on grass, and he had played like 3 turf games in a row, so that's something to note. Plus, it's divisional." So be wary of the spread. And the line last year was New Orleans was favored 1, and this was in October 21st. And this is when Tampa was running hot to start the year last year. New Orleans ended up winning that game by a touchdown. Go to the year before, New Orleans lost that game. Now this, again, that's different personnel, but I feel that divisional matchup on the road on that grass can get tough for Breeze, but -3, it's just a tantalizing line. And I remember having this feeling last year when I saw the line, and I believe I laid off this game, but it's definitely one when it first came out. And, you see and you're like, hey, that's a good line, that's a good team. They're only favored 3. Like, why not? Why not take the Saints right now?
They're not facing the same.
Notice about New Orleans too, their defense is much improved under Ryan. It looked much better. It looked different. It looked like a different defense than it was last year. They looked better. They looked like they can stop people. And Josh Freeman, like I said, is having issues, and the offensive line is having issues. They had another injury. So
this is not the Tampa Bay team.
Just might be a disaster. We just may need to, and you may need to get on it early.
This is not the team they faced last year with all that momentum that they had in October. This is a team, like LJ said, it's a horse staggering out of the gate. I think that
O-line trouble. They have that offensive lineman. It clearly showed that Pro Bowl quality guy. I forgot his name, but they lost him. Wasn't in for this week, and it made a difference. And Tampa couldn't really get anything going. And the fact that they stripped his captain tag from him.
Yeah. We're getting some interference on LJ here. LJ, you there, buddy?
Okay, got it. I'm here.
Okay. You out mowing the lawn today, or? Walking the dog?
I just moved my phone. Sorry about that. So where are we going? Let's gun to your head. I like New Orleans.
Yeah. I'm going to consider that as it gets a little bit closer. Hopefully the line doesn't move off of 3, but would not be surprised if it did. Detroit, Arizona, another 4 o'clock game, another road chalk game. Arizona's getting about 1.5. I kind of like Detroit a little bit here. I've been a little bit. We talked about them last week. Talked about him during the draft, too, when I was in the room with Smarge.
Lots of Detroit
So
discussion.
I liked his Stafford pick. I liked his Reggie Bush pick. I like my Joik Bell pickup on the waiver wire.
Oh, man, Jock Bell, dude. I got his name right this week. Jock Bell.
Oh, it is
Yeah,
Jock?
just like Jacques. Yeah,
See, I was
screwed
saying
it up
that.
so bad.
I was saying that in Atlantic City, and someone on the table corrected me that it's Joy.
Yeah, well, it's French. You're French. Do you tell him? Oh, I'm a Frenchman. You do not tell me. You get all shitty with him. I don't.
Isn't he Haitian? Isn't that a Haitian kid?
I
right
think
there?
so. Yeah, I think he's from Haiti. It's the French colony. So.
Yeah, it's a French colony. A lot of the Haitian names got French twists. Yeah. But I like Detroit this week. I think they played Minnesota better than the score indicated, and Calvin Johnson is going up against Peterson, so that's a tough one. But
yeah, Reggie Bush, monster Reggie Bush. My only saving grace in fantasy in week 1, I got demolished by the Bengals fan this week, and C.J. Spiller's lack of Buffalo's. Problems over there. So, but you're exactly right, LJ. I think it's the line's pretty dead even. It's going to be a tough game, but I think Detroit's good there. So
if you're a Detroit backer and you know it's road chalk, it's not a bad number for you.
No,
1.5, anything under 3 is not going to be bad at all.
Now let's talk about Terrell Pryor and the Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
If you're gonna dump a season, do you really want to come out and win your first week? I mean, there was Jets and who may be scheduled? Jets in Oakland and now Jacksonville and Oakland. It's like bad team, bad. This is.
Well, they wanted to get the 2 worst games of the year out of the way.
Same reason we have Jets and Patriots on Thursday night in a short week.
Oakland's favored 5.5 in this thing.
Well, it's a home game. Jacksonville's coming to the west and all the other stuff and. I mean, is Blaine Gabbert going to play? He's hurt. Are they going to keep putting him in there? Or are they going to put in the serviceable Chad Henne? I mean, the line would change if Chad Henne was the starting quarterback. I think the line would become just a 3-point standard home even game then. Because I just don't think I don't think Oakland is good, and I think Jacksonville would be better without Gabbert in there.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking. I'm like, wait. These teams are both terrible, and one's getting 5.5 points. I was just thinking maybe there's value with Jacksonville, but no. I don't think I can do it. No.
We
were talking last week. I was like,
remember
we were saying maybe bet Jacksonville every week with the same unit every game of the year and see how it ends up. Remember that?
Yeah.
I started that last week. It didn't work out. Should I keep pursuing it? And it wasn't a full unit. I was doing just a half unit. I just wanted to see if this really works out. But
are you going to do it? Are you going to just run it through the whole season?
I guess. I said I would. I might as well stick to my guns. If I do, should I wait till it's more towards kickoff to try to get a better line? You think this thing will move to 6 or 6.5?
Yes, I think the public will like the Raiders. I think they'll like the flashy Terrell Pryor stuff. They saw the highlights. They're like, oh, Raiders, all right. So you might see some movement, to get you some more points.
I guess I'll stick with this. We'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how this goes. Maybe I'll have to bail on week 8, but we'll see.
Now we got the Manning Bowl.
Yes.
Denver and the Giants.
Battle of the Mannings.
And one Manning looked awful, and the other Manning looked like he was a world beater. Are we going to see some regression back to the mean?
I don't think Payton's going to have 6 touchdowns again, or 7 touchdowns again, but 55, look at that over-under, 55 points, just like the opener. I think, what was that against the Ravens? Oh, that one was 49, but still, Jesus, 55 points.
They're just, do you see a way to cover the Denver offense? Do you see a way of, with the emergence of the Julius Thomas kid as a pass catcher, along with Welker and Demarius and Decker, and who do you cover? You don't have enough defensive players to cover the offensive players, and then you have Mr. Accurate Peyton Manning at quarterback. This is just a ridiculous offense.
It is.
And then Von Miller, though, got himself in more trouble. He got arrested for driving without a license and speeding.
Oh, really?
And they say that they can, add another game to his suspension.
Has the right to add on to his suspension. He's already in trouble. So that came down today. They haven't officially done that yet, but he can do it.
The Giants are capable of scoring a lot of points, and Denver's defense is not good. And this is the Giants' home opener, and again, it's a pride thing. So I know why the line is still Denver's getting points on the road. So the Giants look like a good teaser play.
Oh no, Denver's laying the 4.5. They're favored.
Yeah, the Giants. Giants are getting points at home.
Yeah.
So I see them as a teaser play.
Yeah, you could go straight 6 and you'd have 10.5, and that's not a bad number right there. Go to your 10, throw this in the 10-pointer, and then boom, look at what you got, 14.5. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about.
So
this is one of those 3-team plays right there.
Yes, it is.
Right along with, I'd say, Detroit. Why not get Detroit some points?
And then you get them at 8.5, plus 8.5.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. Holy cow! Look at this. Look at us.
Now we need.
And then take Houston.
One more.
Houston to win at home. How about that?
I think I got my last one, but it's the last game we're going to talk about. It's Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
Ooh.
Let's talk. Who do we like in the Denver Giants game, other than as a teaser play? Straight up.
Probably a layoff for me. That's just going to be an entertaining game to watch. If anything, I don't know. I like the home dogs, but the Giants can't play any worse than they did last week, and everyone thinks Denver's going to win. So I guess in the gun to my head pool, I'd take the Giants. Smarge?
All right. Wow, geez, 4. Yeah, I mean, even gun to my head, I'd still be lost. I'd probably have to say Denver.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take Denver instead.
I have a hard time betting on the Giants in general, but the Denver offense just looks prolific. I mean, I can't, and their defense actually, I think they played better than we expected. They've been able to compensate at least some for the loss of Von Miller. So it's just so hard to take the Giants there unless you're getting. You said it's a great tease play, but it's just not enough points, even at home.
Seattle and San Francisco, gentlemen. This is the Sunday night matchup. It's in Seattle. They got the home field advantage and all that other fun stuff. And this is the two talent-rich teams in the same division, and they want to beat the crap out of each other. This is a great game. Seattle's giving up 3 to San Francisco. I don't see Anquan Boldin catching passes for 200 yards this week against this Seattle defense. If you can tease the over-under is 44.5. Tease it up and take the under, because I think these teams aren't going to score that much this week.
You're right. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this matchup earlier in the week. Under. What's the over-under? And it's 45, and then I instantly think that's good value for the under. There's 2 great defenses right there. And I think this was the matchup I was waiting for last year, which turned out to be a drumming by Seattle, and I think they played late in the season last year. Let me see. Yeah, it was December 23rd. Seattle killed them 42-13. But then when they played earlier in October, it was 13-6, under 38 point. Like, those are the games I love to live for. Those NFC West unders, man. This year, all 4 of those teams have pretty good defenses.
But don't sleep on Russell Wilson against a very good Carolina defense, a great front 7. He still threw for 320 yards. Marshawn Lynch didn't run. Russell Wilson didn't lose that game. That was a tough game for Seattle to win, and they won it. So Russell Wilson showed me a little something last week by winning ugly and still putting up good numbers. He didn't make mistakes. He managed the game very well against, like I said, a very tough defense. Seattle, a gun to my head, even without a gun to my head, I like Seattle.
I'm not going to disagree.
You're leaning San Fran?
Oh, no, I'm not going to disagree.
Oh, okay. Well, then. I think Seattle at home is a good bet. You'd be honest with you, I would do the half unit on Seattle at home every game.
Yeah.
Just to see how that one plays out. That just seems like a pretty good bet. And what'd you think of San Fran? They looked like world beaters, huh? Kaepernick didn't have to run the read option. They ran 10 read option plays out of all the plays they ran on Sunday.
He threw the ball really well,
and he just looked like a good pocket passer.
Yeah, they looked impressive, and I thought they might stumble a bit here in week 1. I was big to fade. Did you tell Scuba? Did you talk to Scuba? What was his reaction when I told him to fade? We were fading the Niners.
I haven't seen him yet.
All right. Well, when you when you see him, let him know.
We were talking about this, and I'm still in that boat for now. I mean, we still got some time, but
I think here's a better week where you can look at it and say that the Niners may have a tough game here. It's gonna be a much tougher game for them. But they can still score points against, imagine, any defense. So,
and then we have Cincinnati at home with Pittsburgh coming to town, and Cincinnati has to give them 7. Do you think that's too much of a spread for division rivals? And Andy Dalton has problems against the Steelers defense, and they know how to play against this Cincinnati offense. And Cincinnati had no running game with the law firm, and Giovanni didn't rush for much last week. And Dalton did pretty good, but I mean the Steelers seem to have his number. He's 1-3 or 1-4 against the Steelers or something like that.
Yeah, they have not played well. They won last year's December game 13-0, and then before that it's been all Pittsburgh for a while. Pittsburgh's been favored in 5 out of the last 7 matchups. So look at the respect that Cincinnati is getting with laying a touchdown in this game. I find that very interesting.
This is the last one you put into the 3-team tease, and you take Pittsburgh.
You like Pittsburgh? That's what when you mentioned it at first, it's kind of knew that's where you were going, but you're right. And I think there's probably some value in Pittsburgh with this line. I think they might not be as bad as they looked last week. Cincinnati might not be as great as they were made out to be, but I still like Cincinnati as a whole, and I still have a bet for Pittsburgh under 8.5 wins on the year. But sorry, LJ.
You're looking good, French.
No. To be honest with you, I said it to my brother-in-law the other day. I'd like to see the Steelers bottom out and get a good draft pick. They don't.
Right.
They're in this middle zone right now. Injuries are hurting them. They have Pouncey's, supposed to be the best center in football, but he's out now, ACL, MCL, and for the year, and he's going to need a lot of healing time. They have no star running back. They're the receivers they have are all very good second or third receivers, but they don't have a number 1 option. The defense is in transition. Harrison's gone. Palomalu's on the downslope of his career. They got some young linebackers, but nobody's really proven themselves. It's a transition team, and I'd love to see them bottom out this year. To be honest with you, let's get, since, I don't know, Palomalu quit, something. I'd rather see my Steelers just bottom out and get good draft picks. I don't see them winning the Super Bowl this year, so why bother?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. One thing I noted in this game, I'm leaning the over right now slightly because it's not a bad number. I think Cincinnati can score, and like I said, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be as bad as they were last week. Cincinnati does have a good defense. That's something I'm going to have to think about, but that's 41 for an over/under. Seems attainable. Wow.
The other big football game of the week is Texas A&M and Alabama. Johnny Manziel gets the big test.
Oh, that's a good one.
This is it.
Hopefully they rip his head off. Is he going to sign an
autograph after this game? Is the question.
They should rip his head off.
This is the test for him. Alabama's Alabama. They're still the powerhouse. They're still the number 1 team. This is the chance for them, Alabama, to be upset. If not, they're going to roll into the SEC title game and be up against Georgia probably from the other side. But I'm not. You guys following the college football at all?
Been watching it in highlights and bits and pieces. LJ, Saturday gets kind of busy for me. I'm doing I have domestic duties, so
yeah, I've had 0 time on for college. I apologize to anyone listening that I can't talk about it, but yeah.
Well, that's all right. I mean, we play poker on Saturday nights in ESPN. We just watch college football all night.
You watch a lot of it.
I get a steady dose of it while I'm playing Omaha high-low.
Yeah,
So it just, I get it by just, literally my seat at the table, I'm right in front of the TV, so I'm always just watching the college football when I'm not in the hands. So so I discuss it every now and then with whoever's a college football fan.
Well, folks, if you want to hear more college football talk, let us know. Get at us on Facebook, on our website, freeagentspodcast.com, and shoot us a message and let us know if you want some more. If you've got college football action on the brain, we'll be happy to talk more about college football. But I think we got all the NFL action down this weekend. I think it's pretty much going to wrap it up for us. So
it's going to be a massive gambling weekend too. There's a Mayweather fight this weekend too.
Oh,
you
yeah.
got Alabama A&M, you got the Mayweather fight, and then you got a very good slate of NFL games to gamble on. So Vegas is going to be busy this weekend.
Well, there you go. You got anything else, French, before we take off? Or
No, gonna hope the Yankees pull through and take 2 or 3 from Boston this weekend. That would be nice. And hope they hang on. But, well, they're not hanging on. They have to get there first.
The Yankees, my kingdom for a pitcher right now.
Yep.
The Yankees need a solid starter right now. Someone to win like Andy Pettit used to be. Win those games after they come off a tough one. They need that frontline starter, and they just, with Sabathia hurt or whatever's going on with him, they just don't have a solid